All right, let's call the June 3rd workshop to order. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Nordby,
Here.
Councilmember Woods,
Here.
Councilmember McKenzie,
Here.
Councilmember Schweer,
Here.
Mayor Monge.
Here. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda, please?
So moved.
So moved. Councilmember Schweer.
Second.
Second, Councilmember McKenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Topics.
Thank you, Mayor. We have one topic on the agenda for this evening. Going to do a cleanup day recap and kind of just go over the day, look at ways we can improve the process. It's gotten pretty big now. It's really well attended. Actually, some safety concerns are being brought up due to how many people are coming and going, and just the size of the yard that we have at the shop to be able to collect everything in a safe manner. So we got the crew here this evening to kind of go over the details, and we'll probably bring some suggestions back at a later time, but kind of go over what the issues are and get your guys' feedback on what you think could help out the situation as well. So I'll turn it over to them.
Sounds good. Welcome, gang.
Right, I will kick us off here. Thank you for having us today to discuss the citywide cleanup event. As Brian mentioned, today we're going to discuss this year's event and some staff insights as well, and ultimately a request for direction. So, starting with the event purpose, the citywide cleanup event is one of North St. Paul's most popular annual events. The cleanup gives North St. Paul residents the opportunity to dispose of their unwanted junk or items for free at our Public Works facility. The citywide cleanup prioritizes recycling whenever possible to promote the city and county's goals of sustainable best practices. In this event, typically it takes place on the second Saturday in May. And we also included this list of accepted items so you have an idea of the kinds of things that we are accepting at our event. And as you can see, the list of accepted items is much larger than anything that we don't accept. Things like household hazardous waste cannot be accepted by the city. We have to refer them over to Roseville's Environmental Center, in addition to compost and wood waste and any business waste, as well as this is for residents enrolled in our garbage program. Right, so I went over the last few years to collect some of the data of items we collected. In this chart here, you'll see some stars. Those are some data that we don't have available. Last year in 2024 is when we really started to keep tabs of everything, including the participation. And so the highlighted column there shows this year's totals. This year we had 313 vehicles in line compared to last year's 284. That is a 10% increase in traffic there. And just going down the line, e-waste, we collected 6,951 pounds of electronic waste. That includes cell phones, TVs, computers, and other accessories. That is a 13% increase from last year. We are still waiting from our appliance hauler on the total number of appliances, but based on the data trends, we're expecting around a 10 to 20% increase in those as well. So we're expecting 120 to 130 appliances. Tires, we've collected the most tires we ever have collected at 160. Mattresses, we have collected 136. And trash loads, we have collected the most trash that we have ever collected at our event with 20 trash loads. And I think those are pretty large dumpsters. 30 yards. All right. So as you can see, our cleanup event is growing every single year, and it looks to continue to grow in years to come. And now I will turn this over to Ron and Randy to discuss the logistics.
All right. How do you change this with the arrow? With the arrow?
Yeah, it's just a little bit arrow button.
This one? All right. So yeah, we'll just talk about the event and how we have it set up. Give you just a little bit of history from the past events that we had. Last year we changed the lineup a little bit, or quite a bit, to line up on Second Street. That was a single file line that we normally have on Second Street. But because of how long the line got last year and across a lot of the cross streets in the area, keeping people from butting in lines, having, just enough people to watch that kind of stuff. We never really knew. Each year this has grown, so each year we've adjusted how we thought we could probably manage the line better, or have a better lineup, and each year it has gone a way that we didn't even plan on, just because it's been growing so much each year. So for this year, when we sat down and we had a debriefing after last year's event, we came up with a plan that we would try to do a double line on Second Street to try to reduce that line and reduce the number of cross streets that it affected in the lineup. Again, this year, it far exceeded what we thought, even with that double line. The line turned into a line that it worked out. I would have mapped it out the way that it worked out. But this year, Ava did a good job with looking for volunteers to help us out. If we wouldn't have had the volunteers that we had this year to help us out at all these different intersections, I'm not really sure what it would have, how this would have played out. I mean, we would have probably had to take some guys from Public Works or to put them out, but most of our guys are busy in the yard running equipment and just managing everything that goes on there. So each year this event gets bigger, and really on the day of, we basically try to manage it. We have to manage it as it comes in. We never know what it's going to be, and again, just the sheer amount of people and the lineup, and we really we didn't have a good map of, where people would line up and how many there would be, but, we managed to make it work. With that, to get people through this line, in a more, I guess, effective way or faster way, I'm not sure that we can be more efficient with what we're doing. The problems that we have in the yard is that we can only put 4 dumpsters down at a time. With those 4 dumpsters being put down, we have equipment that is pretty much managing all those dumpsters. The equipment that we have in there, we have a forklift, we have 2 backhoes, and then we have 2 skid steers that we're managing all that garbage with. And what ends up happening is, because our yard is so tight with those dumpsters, people come in with a big trailer load full of stuff. There might be a appliance in the middle of their trailer load of stuff. They pull up to a dumpster and they start offloading their trash, and then they get to the appliance. Well, there's an appliance trailer that gets dropped off for this event. That's over on one side of the yard, the way we have it set up. So to actually get that person, to pull out and come back around or move around in the yard, there's really not enough room to do that. So we have skid steers and the forklift that kind of cart that stuff from those dumpster areas over to those where the appliances might be, or maybe where the electronics are, or if they have a tire. So these guys are moving this stuff around in there, because there's really not enough room for the cars to drive around, or trucks and trailers to drive around in the yard. And then the backhoes are in there. They're smashing the dumpsters down as we do this. As they get full, we smash them down. So these dumpsters, the 20 dumpsters that we have, they're really compacted. Talking with Tennis, in their other events, he goes, they don't smash any of their dumpsters down. They don't have the resources to do that. So we're fitting a lot more in these dumpsters as we're going, because they're getting smashed down as we're working on that. But with that, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know how many people from Tennis that we had there. There's usually between 10 and 15 employees that are hired, that we hire Tennis to offload these vehicles. But you have those 10 or 15 employees. You have our 10 people that work at Public Works, and then all that equipment, in that small area, with this. So Some of our concerns and tennis that talked to me after the event are, starting to be safety concerns, in our yard. Because, they're loading a refrigerator on a skid steer, and then that skid steer is driving over to the appliance trailers. And again, our guys did a really good job at being aware, and, but your head's on a swivel for that whole event, for that whole time. And it just takes something that falls off that and hits one of those people. And again, I'm not trying to be negative about this in any way. It's a big event. A lot of people really like it and appreciate it. But as big as it's getting, the big concern is it's a space constraint for what we're dealing with the volume of people. And the people that were, we had a lot of people like, oh, thank you so much. This is great. This is awesome. And then you had people, I've been waiting in line for 2.5 hours. We don't know how to correct that. I don't think that we can correct that with the space that we have. In talking with Tennis after to get ideas, from him, he said that they were at Cottage Groves the week before, and he goes, they have an area where they can put down 12 dumpsters. And he goes, with that, it allows them the space. If they had to manage or do anything with those other dumpsters, they still have 7 places they can go or 8 places they can go. With us, the 4 dumpsters that we put down, we tried putting a 5th one down to start the day off, and we had to ixnay that right away because it really got super tight in there for that. So these are some of the things that, what we wanted to talk about to all of you is, we're open for ideas. We have really thought about, we spent a lot of time, Randy and myself, talking with our guys after the event, like, hey, you guys have some ideas? Do you have, we've talked about other places where we could do it. We've talked about McKnight Fields or McKnight parking lot, but again, with the lineup being where it is and where it would cross, and, we really don't come up with, we haven't come up with a better alternative or a place where we have more space to manage this. So again, I'm just going to kind of let you know that these are some of our, concerns moving forward. This is the first time that Tennis had kind of approached me afterwards to say, hey, I'm kind of getting a look and this is getting big, and with the equipment that you need, he appreciates all that because it saves on people's backs and loading this stuff, but it is a dangerous situation in there with it. And again, just bringing kind of some facts forward, to you guys to think about. And, in talking, sorry, I'm not even using this PowerPoint. Some pictures in here. This was just the start of the line on 2nd Street.
That was at like 7 a.m. They were all lined up all the way up to 7th. I started to direct them down, and that's like the beginning of the line at 7 a.m. when I got there. So we still had an hour to go before it started.
So, and just some facts with this. I think at 10:45, we spoke with Chris, and I think we had about 145 vehicles at 10:45 that had gone through the line or been through at that time at 10:45. The event ended at 11. So, so doing the math, there's 300 and some. So when we put a police officer at the end of the line at 11 o'clock, it took us till roughly about almost 1 o'clock to get through the rest of the vehicles in there. And again, like I said, the part for me is I could understand the frustrations from the residents that, hey, this took so long. The frustrating part for us is that, like I said, I don't know how I can make it more efficient with what we have to work with this. So that's kind of, I'll say for the challenges of it. Again, it was great that we had all the volunteers this year that we did. It is super important to have the police department involved with this event because we do cross a bunch of different streets. Dave was down managing 1st and 7th Avenue where the line went through the alley, and luckily he was able to manage like these 2 areas where people could sneak in. He was able to go from 7th Avenue and let people know where the line was and manage the alley to let people, weave themselves in there. And again, if you told me to make a map for next year for a line this big, I might do this. I might draw that map out exactly how that was, because it was, a person could manage that area. One person could manage that area. But the big thing with it is we do need the police officers involved with it. We do need the volunteers, the number of volunteers we had at minimum, for doing this. So it's, it turned into, the first year we did it was Public Works and, a person that kind of organized it, and each year it's gotten bigger and bigger. So it's just, it's a big day for doing it. And again, for us, we never know what we're going to get, and we kind of got to make shift on the fly, to make it work, and luckily, it worked. It worked out fine. I think we were out of there at maybe 2:00 by the time we got, stuff cleaned up. But these are some of the challenges, moving forward. Or, the biggest concern is the safety. The last thing we want is someone to get hurt in there with this. The other concern is our parking lot took a beating with all of our skid steers and everything around there. We just had it crack sealed last fall, and all that stuff ended up in our wheels of all of our machines. It was a beautiful day. I mean,
Sun will melt it all up.
Yep. So, them are some of the, and Randy, you can fill in any, this is a video. Yeah. Well, I didn't do that. Let me see, I just put some notes. So, in talking to Tennis, he, and again, I'm going to throw these out there. These are some things, and we're going to get some more information for looking for alternatives for this. Quickly, again, we didn't talk numbers or talk how it would work or all the logistics of it, but he said a lot of cities do like a 1 week bulk pickup where people can put stuff out at their curbs. The city pays for that week of that bulk pickup so they go and they just pick that stuff up at their curb. So they haul that stuff, out to their curb, and the city picks up the tab for that. And again, we have not got into any details on like what this would be or how it would work or how we would operate this. But he said a lot of cities do that.
That's not random, though, is it?
What's that?
It's on the day of their pickup that they put their stuff out. Is that correct?
Yeah, you schedule it in a week, and then you put it out on your trash day pickup.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep. So you'd schedule it and say, hey, yeah, I have bulk pickup this week, and
One time a year type of thing, right?
yeah, yes. I mean,
Before it used to be any time you want. One time a year you get.
yes. So this isn't your normal bulk pickup where you call up and you pay to get. It would be like, hey, this week, you call in, you say you got bulk pickup, and the city covers the tab for that pickup. They say that pay the dump fee for a week down at the county, where they go down there, they could haul their stuff down there to the county, and they would keep track of it down there, and the city would pick up the tab for that. So that was an option. And he said the residents have bulk pickup every single day, but it's something that they pay for. Whatever, a refrigerator is $15 or $20 or whatever it might be. But there were some just quick ideas that he threw out for that. So
With that, there's a few things that we could eliminate and have them at a different event, like the electronics. Now with that new center, you can make them go there, get rid of it. The mattress thing, I think it's on here, have a separate mattress event, which we did last year. And I think we had 100 and some mattresses from that week, plus however many we got from the cleanup. So, we already had a separate event, we still ended up with way more mattresses.
Yep. And another thing that changed with the electronics came here, or would come here before and pick up, and they wouldn't charge us. Now that these new sites are open, now they charge us to come to this event. So that's an additional cost that the city will incur for that, because it is an option for residents to go down to dispose of that at the county and not be charged for that. Is that correct, Chris? Yep. So, we talked about, hey, what if we had, we split this up where, hey, appliances and this go to McKnight and trash goes over here.
I think
People
it's
come,
all
they load
confused.
everything in.
They're all
their
gonna
house
go to
on
one
trailer.
spot.
So I'm just trying to tell you that, we're trying to think of all these different ways. To sum it up, with the amount of, vehicles that we have and the people that we have and how popular this is and the space we have to do it, I think we need to look for an alternative way to try to do this. So, we just wanted to bring this in front of you, talk about, just kind of our experience. I know some of you guys were there and you guys got to experience it and see it. And you know what? It's, like I said, I love the people that tell you, hey, this is great and this is awesome and they're happy to get rid of all this stuff. It makes you feel really good. The people that are like, this is ridiculous, 2.5 hours. And again, the frustrating part for me is that I don't know what I can do to make that.
Yep.
You can't please everybody.
Well-
But as in the line for me, when I was at that corner there, I said, you guys have to be patient. It's gonna be a long day. I said, don't get angry at anybody because no one was expecting this many people out here. So, and most people were pretty good about it.
Yeah. And, I don't know, it's free. I don't
Right.
know if you put some type of a
Cost.
fee to it,
I think
where,
the problem and what we recognized being down there was the cube trucks and how many cube trucks we have. And I think if we were to eliminate the cube trucks, that this is, obviously this is discussion, it's open for discussion, all of this is, but whether it's a trailer or we get rid of the cube trucks and your trailer has to be so big, we limit that. I think that would help alleviate that. I mean, there was one when we were down there that was jam-packed full. I could probably 45 minutes just to unload that one alone. So, I mean, you look at that and you look at residents who said, I sat in the car, for 2 hours and I just wanted to get rid of this damn chair. I mean, how awful is that to sit there for 2 hours and try to get rid of a chair? But it was free and that was their means of doing it. I'd like to see bulk pickup back on our bills. I mean, for example, even though we had this bulk pickup that Saturday, the weekend after, I got a brand new mattress, but I couldn't get rid of my old one because I still needed to use it. So I had bulk pickup, and for $70, I got rid of 2 things. And I look at that and think, all right, that's my whole annual bill that I would be paying. Now I can get rid of more stuff with just a single charge like that. So I know some residents don't like that. Some residents were upset by the bulk pickup, but I think this is a perfect opportunity to bring and consider that bulk pickup coming back. I do think that we would have, our participation may go down a little bit more, but who's to say?
I mean, one suggestion I have, given that one of the big concerns, obviously safety, from a resident perspective, one of the big concerns that they had was the length of time. Could we do something where there's like an opt-in, like a text or something where you can opt in to get a text of, your current wait time is this, or your current wait time is that, where, hey, yeah, I'm going to drop off stuff and, okay, the end of the line is here, current wait time is 2.5 hours, or current wait time is 30 minutes. So whether you want to go get in line or whether you've got an appointment in 30 minutes and so you can't get in line, that kind of thing. Or even through through social media or something like that.
I think that's a great idea. But the fact that, you can go sit there in line and wait, and like Ron said, it's 11 o'clock, you have the cop car right at the end of it. Nobody got out of that until 1 o'clock? I sat there until the very end with you guys, and it was about 1 o'clock that. Right. So I like the wait time thing because it is convenient, especially on many levels of things like that.
Just having been there, I know there were a lot of people who said that, oh, well, once we were towards the end of the line, we're like, oh, well, just so you know, we think it's going to be about 2 hours from here. And they're like, oh, well, I've got something in like an hour. I don't have time to sit here and wait. And okay, that's fine, you can go, but, had they known that, they probably wouldn't have even have bothered getting in line. So, and maybe we can set that, not expectation, but, provide that opportunity for everybody.
Yeah, and we can look into, I don't know.
I mean,
Yeah,
I'm-
I'm not
just
sure what you
suggestions.
use
I
for
don't
that. I mean, that's,
For this purpose of discussion,
But I think it's
opening
a
it
hard
up.
one to judge, just when you don't know how many cube trucks are there.
Right.
Line, you know, I
Could
mean,
be
you look at
20
the
minutes to
line,
unload
like,
one truck.
yeah.
Yes.
What were some of your comments from your guys sitting around your break time table about
I'll have to
what
clean it
could,
up.
what they're looking at? Well, you know what I mean? Because their input, because they were there also,
No, no, I'd say the biggest take out of that is there's like, oh man, it is like when you're in that machine for 4 or 5 hours and then like your head's just on a swivel and you're just like tense the whole time because it is, you're on top of each other. And, I'm terrible at taking pictures and videos of, things to kind of paint the picture of it, but when it was in full swing, I know Cassie spent most of her day at the front gate there with us. But, that was their thing, is just like, man, that's like, it's just tense, and the last thing in the world, them guys want to do is hit someone or have something happen. And like I said, the comments are, oh, what's with all these cube trucks and these, I mean, because them things were just packed. Like you said, it legitimately, a half hour, 45 minutes to unload some of those. And, some of those people, they came in, they didn't even really get out of their truck. They got out of their truck and watched. Now, that's a double-edged sword there
right,
because.
because technically if they're driving that truck, they're supposed to be up in unloading it too. That's
Well-
their
You
You would
job.
think so, but then you have the
Yeah.
safety piece of it as well. so
Well,
it's a
right, so.
Catch-22.
It's a frustrating thing because, but then if you have, 3 or 4 people from tennis over there unloading it and they're loading it on a skid steer.
Right,
And
yeah.
then, so that's what I'm saying. It's just when it's those big loads of stuff where you're spending all that time to unload.
And it's, they send in a family text out, hey, we got pickup, let's rent a truck and everybody will go around and pick up
Well, I guess the
everything.
only thing I could do is put in no U-Haul trucks, pickup truck and trailer only. That's one thing we can do. No U-Haul trucks, the U-Haul truck shows up, you take it down St. Paul, you pay for it.
I mean, I think with the trailer thing, it's hard, you almost gotta limit the size of the trailer too,
trailer
because you
as
get
well.
these enclosed trailers that are bigger than a U-Haul coming in. You
Did
know,
they
which-
say how much they would charge if they go around and pick it up like that day of the trash? I mean, how much more is that compared to what we do down at?
I don't know that, Mayor. And again, we didn't talk any numbers.
But to me, that's something where you put on the curb and then they go around and there's no issues when, people run into each other. And when you said, what, 20 dumpsters and 4 hours? So about every hour you're replacing a dumpster if there's 4 out there, right?
Yep,
Pretty much.
yep.
I would
That's a
love,
lot.
I would love to see a quote from them on what, if we do a free week of bulk pickup, what they would charge us for us. I would love that quote. And then, do we have any idea how much this event cost? And do you feel that if we did one in spring and one in fall, that would alleviate some of the, I guess, that would be another quote that I wouldn't mind seeing before us, is
With
if
a
we did a
charge.
spring and a fall.
With a charge into it. With a fee.
No, just another cleanup event.
I know.
Because this one's too busy, what would a second one?
I don't know what the effect of that would be. I'm gonna speak on behalf of the guys down in Public Works. Every weekend in the summer, we have 2 guys in to take care of all the trash in the parks, and just because, by nice days, Silver Lake, Casey Lake Park, there's garbage everywhere, and so we can't go like a weekend without picking up trash. They're in every night for the car show to pick up the trash after the car show. We usually tie those things together. They come in Saturday morning, but 2 guys in the car show is a lot of garbage, as that goes on. So every weekend, pretty much from here on out, till the car show ends and it does, it's not nice weather, we have 2 guys in. It's mandatory for our guys to be there for this cleanup event because I can't come to you guys and say, well, I put up a volunteer sheet and I only have 2 people that showed up. I mean, we need all hands on deck to make this thing work. They're not excited about it.
Fishing opener.
Yeah, doing it, it's fishing opener. We have tried to change that. Tennis is pretty much booked out years ahead of time for this. We catch a lot of flack for that, but our guys are there to take care of it.
So what I'm hearing from you, and I really appreciate your honesty, is that this would be a pushback from your staff if we wanted to schedule a second one.
I will not throw them under the bus and say, I'm just speaking is that we ask a lot out of them.
No, but as a director, you're concerned about their morale, and I appreciate
I'm
that.
concerned about their morale, and I was gonna get into when winter comes along, these guys are pretty much locked down in the winter. We have a minimum that can be gone, because if we get a snow event, we can't have four of our staff gone because of the size crew we have. So, I do try to limit, I'll call it a mandatory weekend event if I can,
I mean, for what it's worth, this one in the spring is full. So does that mean, our numbers are rising. Would that mean another one in the fall, the numbers will rise? So we continue to get more people because the first group didn't get through the first time. So let's try the fall again. And then it's a great idea. But again, unless you try it, you don't know. And I
I
think
would like to see us offload it to that company and not have our people do it and have them go around. That's the way I would like to see it. Because of how limited space we have and the number of dumpsters and the concerns that they have and we have, we just can't do it. So to me, it's, we look and see what they can do as far as pricing wise, if they can do it the week of, at least once a year, and then see what the pricing is from there.
Especially with our elderly and disabled, they can get it to the curb where they might not be able to get it to that.
And
they
there
might not
was
go around and-
actually,
yeah. And-
there was a woman that came down the day before I was at the parks talking with Ron. And there was a lady that actually came down and said, hey, I'm trying to take something of my mother's. What time does this happen? She can't lift it. She can't do any of it. I want to be down here. But I'm not a resident. My mom is. So do I have to bring my mom to the car? Like, what does this look like? So I'm with you. I would like to see a full year of bulk pickup on that end. The 1 week still is how much can you put out on your curb, and we'll say tennis, for example. I don't know who we'll end up going with, but if they see that, is it a curb long? Are they going to take the full curb? What does that look like?
Well, I think it would my mind would cut down on the truck because people aren't going to have, stuff piled all the way across their yard. They're going to go, what the hell's going on over there? That type of thing. How low accountability maybe because people don't want to look like they're.
I think, again, my opinion, I'll say it as a resident or, as a person that has to manage this or help manage it. I think when things are flat out free,
Anything free is worth saving up for.
yeah, I think when there's really no skin in the game, I think it makes it worse. And the other, when talking about this, the other thing that tennis said is that they said you can offer to pay a percentage of the fee for that week. So if you don't want to pay for everything, let's just say a refrigerator costs $20 to get rid of and a mattress costs $50 to get rid of. He said you can pay 50% of what the normal fee would be for it.
So who's paying for this? I remember you telling, I can't remember who it is. Who pays?
Score grant.
What?
The score grant that we
Score
get.
grant. The score grant can still do it even if it's curbside too, right?
Yes.
So it's not like we lose,
I believe so. I can't.
but that'd be something to check. If it's this,
Yeah.
the same thing when it comes to that, and they, pick it up themselves or, that type of thing.
Yeah, and
Right now, it's not coming out of the taxpayers.
Nope, it's a score grant, and like I said, I think, it's.
Well, that type of thing, you know what I mean, when it comes to directly, but because when it came to bulk pickup, it came out of everybody's, and that's where people got, don't use it, I got through all that mumbo jumbo stuff, but,
There's another, just to throw this out as we're brainstorming, what if we kept a couple dumpsters around the city and had people throw it in there?
I think we'd be picking it up for
Yeah.
days after.
Guaranteed.
Sure. And I'm just throwing that out as a.
can't believe how many people dump by Joy Park down by that road, couches and TVs.
around
At
the
least
corner,
once a
yeah.
month, somebody throws it up in Joy Park up in that area, just crap. just unload out of their cars.
Yeah, and
Is that North St. Paul pickup?
No, that's
or is that
Maplewood there.
that's Maplewood, but we get called for it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the issue, unless there's some kind of constraints around it. Because even with the bulk pickup, as these guys know, because we used to do it, and there were no constraints on it. So you'd go to places that would have 7 mattresses out front of their place.
Or a bathroom demo with tile, like this big pile
Yeah.
out there across the whole.
Well, that's why there's no company dumpsters without fences, because that's all people did. Open them up and chuck through things into there, so you gotta protect.
Then you get a bulk pickup guy that's all by himself. How's he supposed to pick up some of this heavy equipment by himself out there, you know? So then he's gonna leave it because he can't lift it. You need equipment to do it, so that's where it falls back into the location where we're at. Or in an area that's big enough to be able to handle it.
Yeah, but, and again, definition of, okay, you look at what bulk pickup is. Nothing makes you feel better than an old lady that can say, hey, I've had an old chair and a mattress that I've been wanting to get rid of for a year, and this is my opportunity to go do that. And she has her daughter come and get it for her, and, she gets rid of it, and it's a great thing. And then you have the guy that comes down there that, when he brings a broom and he's sweeping out tile scraps into our parking lot from a bathroom remodel. Is that really bulk pickup?
Technically, no, it's
No,
garbage.
right? It's something that you should have
That's-
rented a dumpster
that's
bag
demo.
for,
That's
or
demo.
something. No, it just falls under where, hey, maybe it works out that, hey, I'm gonna do my bathroom remodel because the bulk pickup is this weekend, and, he tears it out and does, we're not gonna be able to control all those elements, but, when it's open, where we said, hey, these are the things we take, and there's no monetary value attached to it, we're gonna, I think, have what we have, but again, like I said, if one thing and I don't say another thing about it, it's this safety, and again, we have to work under safety constraints in our jobs and whatever, so I don't hang my hat, hey, this is a safety thing, and we can't do it. But safety, and I can't make it any more efficient. We can't make it any more efficient than it is. Ava made the comment, or maybe Caesar, someone made a comment, and when they're like, here's this line, and it's a line they can't see the end of. And we get on the radio and say, send 2 cars in. Right? And a half hour goes by.
Yep,
And we go, yeah, send 2 more. And they're like, man, this line is, miles long. And for us, we're looking at what we can do in there. They might be in there moving dumpsters, they might be smashing a dumpster, a truck might be pulling out. And that's what I'm saying, we cannot,
So you lessened the hours, you went down some hours, right?
Yes.
From what to what?
the first one was 8 to 1,
Yep,
Yeah, I remember that.
yep,
and that was way too long.
yep.
And then I think the next time we changed it, we went 8 to 11. And then we figured, hey, at 11 o'clock, if you're in line, we'll still take you. And for
But
the
did you think
past
it was gonna
couple-
go as long as it did this year after you got out by 1? Is that normal? Was last year,
I think we were done in 45 minutes last year.
Yes, last year, at the end of the line, it was 45 minutes and we were done, cleaned up, pretty
and
much.
it was 2 hours after you closed that you got done?
Yes, it was 11 and 12, it was 1 o'clock. And then I stayed later because electronics had to come back because they were full, and they had to leave, drive down to wherever Hastings and whatever, and then come back and get another load of stuff. And then after that day, we have all the lawnmowers and the gas and the tires and everything that we deal with, after the fact, so.
Yeah, it's a good 4 or 5 guys of our guys on the Monday after cleaning
Sure.
up.
So you got that time, the extra 2 hours plus cleanup on the Monday afterwards to get your lot back to the way you want it.
Yep, not fully, but,
Yeah.
yeah.
But what kind of wear and tear does that do, like you said, to our equipment, and what does it do to the parking lot, and all the other stuff has to be taken into account as well. That's why we look at pricing like this. If they do go pick it up, what does that compare to what we have to go through with our wear and tear and everything else? So what are other cities? Have you talked to anybody around here that does cleanup, like Maplewood, Oakdale? Have you have any other cities you know of?
White Bear Township does it because they were advertising like the week after, and it's pretty big out there too, but they do it in one of the elementary school lots, which I don't know how they can get by with for the just
That's what they end up doing?
damage issue. I mean, then
Yeah,
same
your
thing,
guys' is a
put out
lot.
a ton of dumpsters.
Yeah.
You know, we've tried different things throughout the years, like a different electronics pickup or electronics line. So if you just had a computer, you didn't have to wait in that line. It didn't really work very well.
Because you never have anybody that just has one.
Yes, everything.
Yeah,
Nobody's going to stand in line for a cell phone.
No.
yeah.
I mean, I went last year and I drove and I was, oh, the line's not bad. And I looked and all of a sudden I turned to got the other corner and I couldn't see the end of the line. So I drove to Barge Road and dropped it off there and I was home 2 hours before my neighbor.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and at the end of it, you're spending all of your Saturday.
Exactly. I spent $40 to get rid of my trailer load of stuff and
Yeah.
saved 2 hours of my life.
Yeah.
The paper shredding was another thing that we have a standalone event now, at KC in the summer versus having that here too.
Yeah, and then I
Try to
think
save space.
Randy mentioned it, they had a mattress pickup, and that was in November. So last year there was a mattress pickup, and we still had a ton of mattresses, for this event, so.
And are we still utilizing those dollars out of that grant? For like the mattress pickup, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, that mattress pickup was a free service by Ramsey County. They hired a
Okay.
hauler to do that for us.
So, long story short, we can't, so as is, doing the event at the Public Works Yard is, one, not safe, not feasible for the amount of people we have coming through. Correct? Yes?
Without
More or
some
less?
changes, For sure.
Okay. So, and we don't have any other place that we can put it that we know of. So as it stands, in its current form, having everybody come one day is no longer an option. Right?
I wouldn't say it's no longer an
Well,
option.
we don't have any place that we can have everybody go to, and we can't do it at a Public Works Yard.
Well, we can, but it's
Not
not like it's
safely
no
and-
longer, we've been doing this for years. It's now, what can we limit? What does the limitations look like? These big cube trucks, clearly, we cannot accommodate these. We have to come through with some sort of rules and/or adding bulk pickup or doing a week of bulk pickup or whatever that looks like.
I would argue that, though. I would say the cube trucks are not the cause of the safety concerns for Ron and Randy's staff. I would say the cube trucks are the cause of the concerns from the residents and the amount of time it takes to get through the line. But the size of the yard, the number of dumpsters that we have to have and everything like that is the cause of the concern for you guys, correct?
Yes.
So, even if we limit cube trucks, even if we limit trucks with oversized trailers, things like that, you still have the logistics issue of cars pulling in and, trying to move around and the backhoes and everything, trying to operate within that space that is just logistically not safely feasible for the amount of stuff that we have coming in. So,
So
I
you're
guess
looking to
that-
get rid of it? Is that the question?
I think at the end of the day, I think that means if we don't have a place that's big enough to safely put more dumpsters and be able to maneuver safely, then we have to eliminate it as it currently stands and go with something like the 1 week opt-in or something like that. I'm not trying to say this is what we need to do, but
The only thing I would say with it is, you could switch it up a little bit. Maybe you do a week-long appliance pickup where you don't accept appliances, electronics we don't accept.
Yeah.
There's maybe options where you could
Okay.
get more dumpsters with eliminating certain things from that day. Is it
True.
ideal? You don't know.
That'd be more
Right.
time for you guys though then, right?
yeah.
Well, you'd probably have a separate hauler, like the appliance pickup, whoever picks them up, they would go around and pick them up. off the
yeah,
line.
that's, okay.
Not another
So that would
day
be
of
like a
picking up
comp
appliances.
Okay.
No, but that's what we're talking about being on site. Now you brought that up, so that's different.
Yep.
This is going around curb to curb like we were talking about.
Again, yes.
Yes,
for
okay.
For at
Because we-
least some of the bigger.
Because we were talking on site, then you brought that, so does that mean, does that extend it a week to that day? So we don't want that. We want to be able to,
Okay.
do the pickup as far as curbside and things like that. But have like a product, if you want to get rid of your, like you said, electronics one.
So it's all not sitting out there all week, yeah. I think that'd be a better philosophy, yeah.
Yeah, so I can kind of sum this up. So basically, we have the two options. The one option is keep the event as is, but have the changes, either adding a fee, limiting, like, not taking any electronic stuff, sending that all to Ramsey County, and then doing a separate mattress event to totally eliminate that aspect of it. But I think city staff, why we're here today, is basically to get your permission to look into the option of doing a curbside pickup,
Yeah.
what that would look like.
exactly
So
what I'm looking
basically running the numbers and bringing it back to you guys. So the one option is kind of the only option, which is keeping event but with edits, and then the other option, which we will look into.
The other thing that Ron mentioned, though, I don't think we'd be opposed to, and that's having the numbers for the free drop-off for our residents at the place.
Yeah, that's also contingent on the SCORE grant.
Right.
Yep, exactly. Whatever the SCORE grant, but if we can have it so you can drop it off. And I think they spent a fortune for this Kent location for all the electronics and everything else. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far. It's right in Maplewood.
Exactly.
I think if we can,
Yeah, Dale Street alert.
yeah, sorry, a little more Crows Roseville, but I mean, it's designed for that too.
Can I ask a question, Ava? So you mentioned like a participant fee.
Yeah.
So I guess one question is, how would that work? I mean, are we going to have somebody out there with like a credit card, like I don't remember what they're called, but a credit card swiper thing, or, hey, I want to come through, or here's $5 or whatever, because, I mean, and if somebody gets in line and they don't have money, are we going to turn them away and say, oh, sorry, you didn't pay, you can't, didn't pay the entry fee?
Yeah. So
It would,
we were talking about that. Do you want to talk about this?
So looking at other cities, I can say that North St. Paul, I believe, is the only city in Ramsey County that does not charge for an event like this.
Okay.
Surrounding cities will charge based on item, if it's a bulk item like appliance, or based on the load that they brought. So it could be a specific size trailer has a specific fee, plus additional charges if they have something like a refrigerator or something like that. As far as taking payment goes, I don't think other cities have been using credit cards or anything like that. They've been taking checks or cash
Okay.
up at the front of the line.
Okay.
That may be more logistically difficult for us at this event. We would need more staff
I don't
and
know if I'd trust
additional
Randy to-
training on taking money. It is an option.
Yeah. Okay.
So the grant we have, that just pays for removing, does that pay for tennis? What does that grant pay for? You guys' time too? The city, not the city, but tennis and their employees. Correct?
Yeah, it pays for our cleanup haulers.
So dumpsters and tennis employees is covered under the grant.
Yep, and
All the city stuff we do with our stuff is on the city.
It doesn't pay for their overtime, nothing like that.
Correct. So that doesn't pay any of that. Okay, that's one thing. One other quick question. Tennis said, are they saying we ain't coming back until you make it safe? Because you're not clear on that, so that's why I want to make sure we're
No,
on that.
he did not say that, he did not say that. And
But I want to make
I
sure we're
don't
not
know-
missing something.
No, I don't know what it says in the contract. If that is written in the contract, I want to say one time he had brought something up where we are required to do this once a year, and that may not be correct. I have not read that. But he just said, hey, Ron, we should probably start talking about, this is getting pretty tight, or different ways to look at it. And again, we wouldn't even be having this conversation, well, we'd be talking about it, but we're saying, hey, we're gonna have to move this. If we could put 10 dumpsters on the ground, I can say, hey, I can manage this way different.
But we can't, so that's not an option.
Yep, but he said, it's the first time he's brought it up and talked about it, and, he's like, if you need me to come and talk about it, he's like, I wouldn't be opposed to that, but he just is like, man, there's a lot of stuff going on, he's like, I just don't want someone to get hurt. I looked at the same thing, it's a genuine concern, and like I said.
Well, it is. I mean,
It's,
people going back and forth.
Smashing the dumpsters. I mean, you see stuff go flying out. Mm-hmm. It's just been luck.
and it's a constant, it's not like, all right, we're gonna take a break, reset, take a half hour,
Well, Well, then it's going an extra 2 hours plus the cleanup the next day too, and our time isn't being covered on that too. So, I mean, it's definitely something to, I'm glad we're getting more information. We can get the information, Plan A, Plan B, which is the, whatever you use, the vulture, I'll try it again. Voucher, thank you. And be able to just see what the curbside looks like, because the manpower and everything else, and if they can split it up on days, you're not doing it every single day if it's curbside. It's trash day for me is Tuesday, trash day for the other side is Wednesday. So it's not all there at the same time. All right, does that make sense to everybody?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for
Information, thank
for
you.
bringing it up, because, it's something we need to know, and especially if it's security or safety, we want to make sure that everybody's safe and we're able to take care of it.
Thanks for your time, and like I said, thanks
Right.
for letting me kind of.
Well,
problem.
anytime.
Thank you.
You're the one in the trenches, we need to know.
And tell all the guys, thank you for all their work on that.
Thanks for all your service there.
Appreciate it. All right, thank you very much. If there's nothing else, we'll call for adjournment till 6:30 for the council meeting.
Yeah.
Call for adjournment?
So moved.
So moved. Councilmember Woods?
Second.
Second. Councilmember McKenzie. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
See you shortly.